good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, depends on where you are today. Okay. Welcome to our PECB session for Malaysia Asia Pacific. Yeah. Our topic today will be the importance of disaster recovery in ISO 27001 in terms of compliance. Yeah. Right. A little bit about introduction about myself. Basically, I'm actually your speaker today, Alan Yao, right? That's actually my contact numbers and also my email in case you wanted to connect to me via my LinkedIn and Facebook. Okay, actually the MBOT, yeah, Malaysia Board of Technical Cybersecurity, certified by our what we call this our government's act, yeah, of recognizing technology specialists. I'm also the Malaysia licensed managed security operations center service provider for individual licensing plus penetration testing service provider individual licensing. My highest qualification is actually Master of Science, where I actually do thesis, yeah, and research in the areas of security operations center framework. If you use what we call this Google Scholar to check, you can actually find mine some of my title of research and published paper. Yeah. Currently, I'm actually a full-time trainer, InfoSec and also cybersecurity trainer plus consultant at Trainokit International, yeah, which is of course in Malaysia lah. But Trainokit is actually the training center who provide all kinds of various type of IT training, and I actually focus more on InfoSec and cybersecurity, including PECB, yeah. Okay, in fact, some of my key certifications actually from PECB. Okay, right. I'm also a certified trainer in multiple areas lah, yeah. In InfoSec and cybersecurity. Okay, 20 plus years of working experience from the local PC distributions to MNCs such as Hewlett Packard Enterprise and providing services, yeah, to Shell IT International that time. And some of my experience in terms of MNC is actually more towards HP and also Shell services, yeah. Okay, okay, so that's a bit about myself, right? So right, let's connect to LinkedIn if you wanted to actually engage or discuss or explore about discussions, yeah, about cybersecurity. Feel free to actually add me in your LinkedIn, yeah. I'm more than happy to actually add you. Okay, right. Today, basically, our topic is actually the importance of disaster recovery, yeah, in ISO 27001, yeah. There will be a few areas, yeah, that we'll be discussing, 4 key items, yeah, that I wish to share with you, my dear audience, yeah. Some of these topics, right? The first one, of course, is the important aspect, yeah, of disaster recovery that require attention and should be taken into consideration if you are actually already working on your 27001 or you are in the progress of establishing, yeah, your disaster recovery planning framework plan and so on, yeah. Okay, we'll be also talking about testing and evaluating your ISO 27001 disaster recovery. What are some of the key things, yeah, that you need to look into? And of course, the disaster recovery life cycle, the 6R, and also the tiers, yeah, of disaster recovery, which I believe commonly you will not actually, or you may not be aware, yeah, about the tiers of disaster recovery, yeah. And of course, we will actually end the session with what we call this the disaster recovery measurement, yeah, where we actually talk about the key metrics, okay, in what we call this measuring, yeah. The disaster recovery effectiveness, yeah, which is normally covered by some of these regulatory requirements, right? That talk about things that you need to actually achieve, yeah, when you are actually doing DR planning, yeah, RTO, RPO, and also some of the common terminology, yeah. So this is actually our agenda about, yeah. So let's take a look at the first one, which is the important aspects, yeah, of disaster recovery that deserve our attention and those should be taken into consideration, yeah. So the important, yeah, aspect of a disaster recovery basically start with, yeah, few objective in mind, yeah. it is important, yeah, for us when we actually plan out our disaster recovery to take into considerations the whatever that we plan, right, with the objective of minimize downtime, yeah, to minimize data loss and also risk of reputation damage. We also have to make sure that we can actually meet regulatory compliance requirements, yeah, to mitigate cyber risk as well as to prepare our organization for disruption, yeah. I believe that every regulators within their own specific country do impose certain penalties in case that basically the certain particular critical national infrastructure are not able to actually recover and provide services to the citizens like FSI and so on. They may actually hit with a penalty. Yeah. For example, in Europe, you actually have DORA, which is the Digital Operational Resiliency Act. Yeah, which will take which will be actually enforced. Yeah. By January 2025 in EU, yeah, where if you fail to actually meet the expected recovery time for your financial services, right, you will be subject to penalties and consider violations of the law or regulations. So, yeah, right. The first things, yeah, the minimized downtimes. Yeah, firstly, yeah, when we actually have disaster recovery process, right, it will actually help us to minimize downtime, yeah, that the business experience, yeah. So this is to better prepare ourselves, right, in case of the event, right, we can actually respond to disaster and minimize data loss, right, minimize the system downtime, yeah, and basically when we actually have a DRP, it allows us to actually recover operations promptly, yeah, and especially if you have actually practiced your DR plan on a continuous basis, right? So it will you'll be getting familiar, yeah. Your team will actually be eventually getting more and more familiar with the DR process and able to actually reduce the downtime, yeah. So that's the impact in terms of minimize downtime, minimize data loss and risk of reputation damage. Yes, your business need to actually protect their reputations. Yeah, for example, right, it's going to be look very bad to your organization if when disaster hit you and you got to tell your customer, hey, I lost your data and all these things. Yeah, so DR actually planning should actually include, right, the mitigation in terms of minimize data loss. Yeah, and of course we understand that we can only plan as much as we can, but certain scenario or certain particular, yeah, disaster event may actually hit us especially that still cause us to lose some of the data, right? So in DR planning, right, so one of the key terminology we always talk about is recovery point objective, RPO, recovery point objective. This in this context of RPO, usually this is where that we talk about how much, yeah, data that we might actually lose, yeah, in terms of disaster, right? So if we wanted to actually have a shortened more effective recovery with minimized data loss, then we need to actually have a shorter RPO. Yeah, when we say that we actually have shorter RPO, typically that means is that we need to actually make sure that our backup procedure, right, should be within the RPO defined timeline, recovery point objective. Yeah, that's on the second point, right? Third, basically, is regulatory compliance. Yeah, as I mentioned, of course, in EU, there's going to be DORA, and if you're actually looking at our locally, yeah, in Malaysia, there are also certain financial service industry, right? Basically, and have been actually penalized, yeah, with some of this penalty for not meeting the RPO and RTO. Yeah, so regulatory compliance basically is something very important because it actually going to cause us penalty, and it may also cause us some administrative issue that may actually cause interruption and also prioritizations of our resources, right, to improve our IT performance. Yeah, so those are some of the issues in terms of regulatory compliance. Okay, while cyber risk can be also one of the important aspect of disaster recovery. Based on, I think if you're actually looking at the history of cyber attack, right, I think even though most organizations have actually put in a lot of efforts, budget, processes, resources, right, into protecting their asset and also IT infrastructure environment, but the cyber incidents, hacking attempt are still at a very high successful rate. Yeah. So basically, there are certain mindset switches that we need to actually put in place, yeah, and also start to think about that, how to make sure that we can recover as fast as we can after a cyber attack or cyber incident, yeah. So these are actually some of the areas that we need to look into. Example, based on the some of the previous cases like CrowdStrike and also Microsoft Azure in terms of their DDoS attack and all these things, right? So we should actually look into also the aspect of disaster recovery when it comes to cyber attack, right? So that we can actually better prepare our organizations to be able to recover as fast as we can, right? After a cyber attack, basically. Yeah. So that's on the mitigating cyber risk. And the last point, yeah, in terms of the important aspect of disaster recovery is the preparations for disruption. Yeah, business actually cannot actually predict disruption, but we can always prepare for it. Just like you don't know when accident will happen, but you can better prepare yourself in case of accidents. Yeah. So of course, traditionally organizations will always do fire drill exercise, yeah, human evacuations, pandemic, and so on. Yeah. But one of the lesser exercise carried out are cyber attacks, cyber simulations, or IT disruption. Yeah? But of course, yeah, big organizations and all this have to do a lot. But technically, out there are still a lot of business that have not really do what we call disaster recovery exercise, simulations exercise, based on scenarios such as ransomware, cyber attack, and so on. Yeah. So based on this 5 points, basically these are actually some of the important aspects that why organization need disaster recovery, and implementing ISO 27001 can be your beginning steps, yeah, into improving your IT services, including coming out with your own disaster recovery plan to better prepare your organizations basically for respond, yeah, to interruption due to a cyber attack or due to unexpected disaster event that can interrupt your IT system. Yeah, so that's on the important aspect. Now, second point basically is the testing and evaluating, yeah, your ISO 27001 disaster recovery. Yeah, so there are actually a few areas that we need to actually consider if we wanted to look into our ISO 27001 disaster recovery. Yeah, of course, the most important thing is to perform regular testing to see how effective is your ISO 27001 disaster recovery process, right? Is it comprehensive enough to respond to incident? Is it comprehensive enough to actually cover those risks that potentially may actually cause interruption to your IT or information system? Yeah, and with the regular testing, of course, we need to also look into the test scenario, the documented procedure, the involvement of stakeholder, as well as the continuous improvement, yeah, to make sure that we can actually effectively test our DR process. Yeah, so regular testing normally is critical, right? So that we can actually test our DR plan to ensure that it is function as intended. Yeah, and also the processes or step within the DR itself is up to date. Yeah, with any changes in our IT infrastructure and security landscape. Yeah, so conducting regular tests can actually help identify any weakness or vulnerability in our plan and allow us to actually address them accordingly. Yeah, example, in one of my experience when we actually do disaster recovery, we actually fail at almost towards the end of the DR, right? Where we actually start at we are not able to connect to DR site. Okay, when our business try to connect to DR site, they are not able to do that. Yeah, so we actually fail to meet our RTO Reason being because that one, when we actually do the root cause analysis, we identified that the network between connectivity between the production side and the DR side, right, is not able to be established. And upon investigation, it seems that someone have made a firewall rule changes and remove the firewall rules due to the low activity, in terms of that particular firewall rules. Of course, this is due to other policies that demanded that rules to be removed because it is not active. Okay, and that actually reflect that why we should regularly test our DR plan, to see that whether the set of information are still up to date and it function as intended. Second, basically, is the test scenario. When testing the disaster recovery plan, we should consider simulating various disaster scenario. One of the issue that I always see within the industry itself is that organizations often make very I would say a conservative scenario, which means that they are maybe looking at 5% system being compromised, 10% of the systems go down after a particular disaster event, and so on. But in reality, there are actually cases, or actually not small, but big numbers of cases whereby a cyber attack, right, ransomware, system disruption at the scales of more than 50 or even near to like 60, 70 or even 80% of the system actually wiped out by cyber attack. In this case, basically, what I observe sometimes it takes long time, for the organizations to actually recover. There are also very small cases that some of these small business organizations, they lost almost everything, including email, within the computer's system and server itself. So that's why from test scenario perspective, I'll suggest that organizations, right, to look into, right, to be more open in terms and looking at the magnitude beyond 50% of your IT system get compromised, impacted, during a particular incident or a disaster. And of course, most important thing also why we actually do testing is to look into the documented procedure, whether it's still relevant, whether it's still up to date. Examples, the contact list, whether it is still reflecting the person in charge or subject matter expert in the organization. As we know in IT, sometimes people come, people go. If those information is not updated accordingly, it may actually cause impact to your organizations. Okay, right. Next basically is the involvement of stakeholder. It is essential for us to involve key stakeholder such as IT team, security expert, senior management to test and evaluate our processes of disaster recovery plan. One of the very key important stakeholders that can help you in terms of enhancing is to get like GRC team, governance, risk compliance, or even auditor, as your independent observer in your DR plan, because they provide unbiased and also independent review, in terms of how effective is your DR plan being actually tested, and what are actually the area of improvement that you can actually look into to improve your disaster recovery plan. Continuous improvement. Disaster recovery testing should not be at one time event, but it should be a continuous process. Some regulator did actually put it in their requirement to say that no, you must at least minimum perform 2 disaster recovery tests per year, 1 simulation and 1 live test. Quite numbers of regulator did put this type of requirement. Hence basically testing and evaluating your ISO 27001 disaster recovery become something very important as part of your ISO 27001 exercise practices as well. Okay, right. Next basically is the disaster recovery, the life cycles of 6R and also the tier of disaster recovery. So disaster recovery life cycle 6R means reduce, respond, recover, resync, resume business, resume operations, and return back to normal. Yeah, this is what we call the 6R life cycle in terms of disaster recovery. Yeah, the reduce means the amount of time, yeah, before the occurrences of a disaster. Okay, we wanted to reduce the occurrences. Yeah, response means the reaction in terms of time. Yeah, following a disaster. Once you did a disaster happen, how fast can you respond? How fast can you do investigation? Understand what's the impact, and declare that okay, disaster is confirmed. Now we need to start our disaster recovery process. Recover means the time period, yeah, between the occurrences of a disaster and also the restorations of business operations, usually in the alternate site. This is normally measured using the measurements of what we call this recovery time objective, or RTO. Yeah, resync normally is the resynchronization of data of all the system, right, so that we can continue our business. Resume means the business function and operation resume when the system are restored gradually, either at the alternate site and slowly. The last R will be return, yeah, which is the time when the operations return to usual, back to the originals or productions site, yeah, where we continue our business operations. Yeah, that's the 6R, yeah, disaster recovery life cycle 6R. Well, in terms of tier of disaster recovery, right, you can actually look at it as part of your progressive approach, right, to actually improve your DR planning. Yeah, basically from what we call these foundations, yeah, of establishing your disaster recovery maturity, all the way from tier 0 up to tier 7. Tier 0 basically means that no offsite data, which means that your disaster recovery plan is very infant stage, is still not mature. Maybe you are still drafting process, maybe you are still trying to improve EDR, right? Once you're getting matured, basically in this case you start to be at the tier 1 level, yeah, which is basically the data backup. Yeah, you already have the data backup. Maybe perhaps you still have not complete set up your hot site, yeah, without a hot site. You have the data backup but without a hot site. But of course, over the year, over the time, yeah, you improve your process, you're getting the right budget, and you start to implement a hot site. Now you are actually getting more and more matured. You have a data backup also with a hot site. So in case you are hit by a disaster, yeah, then you will be able to continue basically, right, to do data restorations at the hot site, yeah, because now you are actually at tier 2, yeah. And if you can further continue to improve your DR, then you can move yourself into tier 3, where you will use basically electronic vaultings, yeah, to do data backup, yeah, to do restorations and so on. Yeah, that's already at tier 3. And of course, right, the more you actually invest into your DR, improve your DR processes and technology, that's where that you can actually have point in time copies, yeah, which will allow you to actually have even a more shorter yeah, RPO, and able to, which will indirectly, right, shorten your recovery time objective in this case. Yeah, then basically if you further enhance, you can even move towards tier 5, yeah, which is where you can actually protect the transaction integrity. You do active, you do clustering and so on, to ensure that you have the latest data copies at different site, right? And you are able to actually restore your disaster, yeah, from the disaster mode back to the operation mode. Yeah, okay. And basically if you further enhance, of course, once you reach tier 6, tier 7, that's considered that you most of the time is that minimum impact, right? Even you actually have a major disaster where near to 0 data loss, and at tier 7, that is where that highly automated business integrated solutions with almost near to 0 downtimes, yeah, which means is that your DR is perfect, system is designed to meet the highest standard in terms of tiers of disaster recovery, where even a major impact, right, to one of the site does not have any impacts, yeah, to your business or system. Yeah, so that's actually the common tierings, yeah, in terms of disaster recovery from tier 0 all to tier 7. Yeah, so some people may actually use these tiers as part of the measurement in terms of disaster recovery maturity that you can actually use, right, to set as a what we call is a desired state, yeah, that your organization wanted to achieve in terms of ISO 27001 disaster recovery planning. Okay, right. These are some of the informations, yeah. The tier 0, there are no offsite data, yeah. Tier 1, tier 2, all the way to tier 7, yeah. So you can get some of these informations later on, yeah, from my slide. Okay, right. Next basically is the disaster recovery, the measurement, yeah, in terms of the measurement, the key metrics that normally we need to actually look into when we talk about disaster recovery planning. Yeah, this is important because of whether it's regulators, whether it's your stakeholders, whether your customer, they wanted to know how fast, yeah, you can recover when you actually hit by a disaster, incident, or a cyber attack that potentially may disrupt your business. Okay, so disaster recovery measurement, yeah, the key metric, right, is actually referring to the ability of a system or a network, yeah, to resist failure or to recover quickly from any disruption, usually with minimal impact to the business. Yeah, enterprise can actually begin to understand the resilience, yeah, of their IT system by measuring uptime. Yeah, so example, some of the measurement that cut across different certification, whether ISO, IEC2, ISACAS, COVID, NIST, right? They will actually use some of this terminology. Yeah, these are actually the most common one. Of course, the first one is RPO, recovery point objective, which talk about, right, the amount of data loss that you may actually happens to you if incident hit you. Yeah, so usually we call it how much data you're willing to lose. Yeah, if you are not willing to lose data based on a particular time frame, then you need to shorten your RPO. Yeah, to shorten your RPO, of course, you need to do more frequent backup, or you might need to actually have clustering system that can allow you to actually have active synchronizations in terms of data and also system. Now, other than that, also sometimes you may talk about MTO, maximum tolerable downtime, or maximum tolerable downtime, MTD, or sometimes we also call it AIW, acceptable interruption window. MTO, MTD, AIW normally means the similar thing, which means is that from disaster happens, yeah, until you actually come back to resume business, that's usually the measurement. Yeah, and under the MTO, MTD, AIW, normally we actually have RTO and also WRT. Yeah, so we're going to talk about this in the subsequent slide in terms of what is actually the difference between this some of this measurement. Yeah, and we also usually have MTR, mean time to repair, how fast we can repair the disaster sites, yeah, the primary sites and so on. And usually also in terms of when we talk about disaster recovery, it is also important to us to know that there's this measurement in terms of like MOR, minimum operating requirements, service delivery objective, and also recovery service level, which is usually used to define what is the minimum application or system, yeah, that we need to restore in order, yeah, for us to actually resume our business. Okay, because during normal operation, maybe perhaps we have 100 application. Okay, but during a disaster, normally we will need to actually define what is the most critical system that we need to bring up, right, in order to actually continue our business. So this is actually what we call MOR, minimum operating requirement, SDO, service delivery objective, and also recovery service level called RSL. Yeah, this is actually the common measurement. Yeah, okay, right. Now, when we actually put this all these keyword right into one big picture, so then this is actually where that we actually talk about what we call this your common business. Yeah, at this stage your business is functional at normal. Yeah, so you are actually having full services. Yeah, remember just now I talked about 100 applications that you have in your business, so everything is working well, right? Happy-go-lucky, nothing bad happens, yeah. And then suddenly disaster hit you here at this stage 2, yeah. So when disaster hit you, then the first one of the things that we wanted to actually know is that do we actually have a backup, right? And what is our last good backup? Yeah, do we have a backup? And what is our last good backup? That question is to answer the RPO, recovery point objective. Yeah, so if your RPO says that no, I need my RPO should be in 1 hour, that means yeah, I need to do a backup, yeah, which is under 1 hour. Typically, of course, depends yeah on your organization. I'll suggest that, for example, if your RPO is 1 hour, then it is better for you to do at least every 30 minutes you do one backup. Yeah, so this is just to align it. Yeah, because if your RPO is 1 hour, you cannot be doing hourly backup because it's too near yeah the measurement. So you potentially may have risk of data loss. Yeah, so if you have RPO of 1 hour, right, it is more advisable to actually do a backup frequency of maybe lesser than 1 hour. Maybe perhaps if you wanted to use the ratio of 50%, then and it can meet your business requirement, that will be great. Okay, then so now you know that what's the last good backup you have, right? So for example, disaster hit you now, and the last good backup you have is 30 minutes ago, so you may potentially lost 30 minutes of data. So in your recovery process, you have to make sure that you can actually restore the last good backup, which is 30 minutes ago, and any transaction that happened within that, you will need to maybe use a transaction log, or maybe if you have physical information, you need to actually re-enter this data back into the system, yeah, so that you can start yeah your business with the with this data, yeah. Okay, then now disaster hit you already, right? So now you know the data. Then the next thing is basically now business interrupted already. So how fast yeah can you actually resume business at alternate site? Yeah, put aside whether you have active, passive. That's not the discussion point now. The discussion point now is basically how fast, right? Normally from an academic ISO perspective is how fast can you recover from alternate site? Yeah, so this is actually what we measure as RTO, recovery time objective, RTO. So RTO is actually talking about, right, the amount of time from disaster hit you until you can continue to provide IT services to allow business to resume at alternate site. So this is what we call RTO, time required, yeah, to recover and to allow business to continue with basically a minimum operating requirement, service delivery objective, or RSL, yeah, for COP measurement, in terms of what is the minimum applications or solutions required by business to resume. Yeah, just now we talked about 100. Maybe in MOR, SDO, or RSL, you just need 50 critical applications to allow you to continue business. Okay, so that is actually MOR, SDO, and RSL. Yeah, and from the measurement in terms of work recovery time, yeah, is that the time you spend, yeah, after you are able to continue business at alternate site, until the time you back to the production site to resume your business, this is what we call WRT, work recovery time. Yeah, and once you actually back to resume operation at stage 4, then basically you go back to productions already, so you have full services back, which is 100 application. Yeah, so that's there the things will continue again. Now if you notice here, right, basically down here we have this MTBF. What is MTBF? MTBF means mean time between failure. Mean time between failure. Mean time between failure means that from disaster event that hit you, you perform DR, you recover, repair your production site, then you back to a production site, and then you continue to do business. Then disaster hit you again. So that is what I call mean time between failure. Now, mean time between failure, best is to look into that. The measurement normally should be like 2 years, 3 years, and so on. Yeah, because if your MTBF, yeah, is within a year, months, right, a few months, one time, That means is that you have a major issue in terms of your IT planning. Either your system is not properly maintained, either your software is not stable, or either your hardware is already outdated and it's time to refresh the hardware. Yeah, so MTBF is actually a good measurement to look at now. How stable is your system? Yeah, the more frequent, yeah, the measurement in terms of MTBF, in terms of weeks, months, and so on, right? That actually reflect that you have a major or serious issue in your IT planning. Okay, next measurement is that basically now from the time, yeah, your system down at disaster production site until you going back to production to resume your business, that is what we call MTO, maximum tolerable outage, allowable interruption window, or maximum tolerable downtime. Yeah, MTO, AIW, or MTD. Okay, these are the three common terminology we use to describe, yeah, when disaster hit you at production and you go back to the same site, right, to resume your operations after you fix or after you mitigate the incidents or the disaster event. Yeah, so that's basically some of the common metrics in terms of disaster recovery. Yeah, another keywords, yeah, that you're actually looking at here is MTTR, mean time, yeah, or time to repair. Yeah, time to repair normally refer to, you know, the amount of hours or times, right, you spend to repair the impacted disaster site, yeah, to recover. Yeah, so this cannot be discussed within this slide itself. We should actually proceed to the next slide, right? So disaster recovery, yeah, measurement for the MTTR, mean time to repair, which actually describe that, right, under this MTTR, right? So when a system hit by a event, incident, or disaster, right? So we will actually receive a notification failure, maybe from help desk, ticket, and so on. Yeah. So upon, yeah, receiving such a notification, normally we will actually do diagnosis. Yeah, diagnosis to actually understand what's actually happened in the incident, what system has failed, what is actually the impact, what is actually the scope of the incidents, and so on. Once we actually identify that, normally we will actually start to repair, yeah, the production site, yeah, provided you have the resources lah, right? So the time to repair basically consists of repair time, testing time, and also the amount of time taken by you to return to normal operations conditions. Yeah, so that's usually what we call as mean time to repair, or MTTR. Yeah, so that's actually another specific measurement that when we talk about the key metrics, yeah, in terms of what we call this system uptime measurement, in terms of how much time we need to spend. Yeah, so of course, the more resources you have in terms of personnel, server equipment, or maybe you use cloud, licensing, and so on, that will actually help you in terms of shortens your time to recovery. Yeah, but to wrap up, yeah, so some of our discussion, yeah, today, yeah, basically within the industry, right, sometimes the common issue that I actually see is that, right, organizations sometimes does not, some of the planner, yeah, they are who are maybe still new, right, to the industry, or may not be familiar with some of this terminology, or maybe because due to legacy system, often you actually see that, no, the RPO, right, does not align with the RTO requirement, or when you actually go and do analysis, right, you will not actually call what we see that the effectiveness, yeah, of the RPO and RTO, and often sometimes you actually have a big question, right? Where does this RPO and RTO came from? Yeah, normally the definitions of the RPO and RTOs, right, should actually come, yeah, from this important documents called BIA, yeah, which is business impact analysis. Yeah, business impact analysis. Okay, right. What happens, yeah, in a BIA? Normally the business will actually go do a risk assessment to understand what is the most critical system, what is the most critical what we call this solutions, yeah. And if this critical or business process and solutions went down, how much loss is caused to the business, yeah. So this usually will be captured inside a BIA, and the BIA normally also contain this measurement of what we call this the RPO and RTO, yeah, which actually define that how fast this system need to be bring up. Now, for example, if the business say this system is very important, it have to be up within 30 minutes after upon any incident or disaster, then basically we will need to make sure, yeah, our infrastructure, our system, right, and our data is able to meet the recovery of 30 minutes. Technically, yeah, for system to be able to recover in 30 minutes, definitely you need to spend a lot, yeah, in terms of what we call this infrastructures, yeah, design or system that can actually meet less than 30-minute recovery. So you got no choice. Most of the time you need to use clustering system, active data synchronization in real time to ensure that you can recover your business in 30 minutes, yeah, based on the business requirement as specified inside the BIA, yeah. So these are actually where the requirement came in, yeah. So RPO is not something that you just simply fill up in an Excel sheet, but there is actually a formal process we call BIA or business impact analysis to actually came up with the RPO and RTO, yeah. And if you look at some of these regulator guidelines, they always emphasize in terms of RPO and RTO. For example, in Malaysia, right, technically the financial service industry must make sure that their internet banking system, right, must be actually meeting the RTO requirements of within any unexpected incidents or causing the banking system to downtime, right. It must be recoverable within RTO as within less than 2 hours, yeah, per incident. And if not mistaken, basically there should not be more than 2 incidents and a cumulative of 4 hours in terms of RTO, yeah, which can be a bit difficult, yeah, if you do not actually have a system, yeah, that can actually meet such requirement, yeah. So hence basically understanding, yeah, disaster recovery in terms of ISO 27001 requirement plus the some of the key, yeah, concept, yeah, that we actually talked about just now will be able, yeah, to actually assist us to actually look into the effectiveness of our DR plan. Can our DR plan actually meet the RTO, RPO, and how do we know that whether our RTO, RPO have been conducted or established correctly? Then we can refer back to BIA, yeah. And of course, also we can also look into what is our current maturity level in terms of tiering, yeah, for our disaster recovery planning. Okay, so those are actually some of the tips, yeah, and also important point, yeah, or aspect, yeah, that you can actually consider if you are looking into the ISO 27000 DR establishment, as well as the importance, yeah, and also if you are looking into compliance, yeah, with regulator framework, ISO 27001, your own policy processes, right, audit and so on, yeah, right. Okay, so that's basically our some of our short session today, yeah, in terms of disaster recovery, yeah. Okay, right. So according to my fellow colleague in PCB, right. So now it's actually time for question and answer, yeah. So you can actually post your question in the chat, yeah, and I will actually answer your question accordingly, yeah. Not sure. Yeah, there's one question just now. At the moment, there's zero preemptive security breach mitigation software that can reverse adverse effect of wrongly sent email to wrong recipient. How are we going to handle this issue if an extremely confidential and potentially damaging sensitive information was sent out anonymously? Your question seems to be not really about TR, but I believe it's about the confidentially content, yeah, of email being sent to a wrongly recipient. Now, TR does not particularly solve this problem. This have to be looking in terms of what we call this encryptions, yeah, of email, right? So either basically you, of course, you do eyeball check, right, whether are you sending to the correct recipients. A better way to actually use what we call this secure emails solution. Secure email solutions, yeah, allow us to actually if the information is extremely confidential and important and only should be viewed by a particular recipient, then we should invite, right, both parties, right, to actually use secure email platform, so that, right, and if I were to send you an email, I will actually use your public key to encrypt the content of this email and send to you. Okay, and in this case, only you can use your private key to open the email, right? That's a secure email concept. In this case, even if someone received the email accidentally, right, they still cannot open the email because they don't have the private key, because I encrypt the email using your public key. So only your private key can open back this email, right? So this can even prevent if someone hijack, yeah, the email, or someone actually break into my email system and copy and forward the email to another inbox. They still cannot open, because why? Normally the private key is detached from the email and is also detached from the endpoint computers. Yeah, so I hope that I answer your question. Yeah, so second questions, yeah, how to differentiate incident with disaster. Now, usually we have incident classification, use case, test case, and so on. Yeah. So the incident, maybe I should go one step further. Now, before incident, normally you have multiple events. Yeah. And event normally may not be an incident. Event can be just some not informations, alert, and so on, which not yet qualified as a incident. Now, multiple event, for example, system alert, firewall alert, then endpoint antivirus alert. When we combine all these alert, right, it seems that there is a cyber attack, and based on the combinations of event, now it is become a incident, right? The incident sometimes can be just impacting one computer, one server, one desktop, or multiple computer and server, and it may not have yet a major impact to the company, right? Because it maybe is impacting some department which may not be important to the organization. So it consider that as incident. When incidents start to outbreak, hit department 1, department 2, department 3, department 4, and further escalate to more and more branches and so on, then it start to have major interruption to the business. Usually under that case, we will call it a disaster. Yeah, but then whether what to be classified as incident disaster, it depends on your incident classification, management process, and so on. Yeah, so of course there's no specific answer for this, because it depends on your organization definition in terms of event, incident, and also disaster. Yeah. Third question, yeah, how can we ensure the integrity and availability of the data during disaster recovery? Integrity and also availability. Now, I think during disaster recovery, right, of course, you are focusing on the disaster recovery, right? So I think this question, right, should be refined as basically what can we do, yeah, to actually making sure that integrity and also highest availability of trust, yeah, of data during a disaster. Of course, this have to be done not during the disaster processes, but the preparations in terms of people, process, and technology during the disaster recovery planning, to make sure that our processes is protecting integrity of the data. Certain processes are actually being established on the alternate side to protect confidentiality of the data and integrity of the data. And of course, to making sure that the technology or solution that we select, right, to be part of a disaster recovery process can provide high availability. So it is a pre-disaster recovery planning in terms of selections of people, establishing processes, and choosing the right technology to increase the integrity and also availability when we are actually in a disaster recovery mode. Yeah, that will be my answer for the third question. Fourth question, yeah, an organization, yeah, that I know outsource their system sometimes experience unregularly or unexpected downtime. Fortunately, the system was intended for employee use only, but the downtime lasts 16 hours as far as I know. Is it bad for? Now it depends, yeah. It go back to that first. My first question back to you is that, is this system considered critical or not critical? Yeah, normally we have critical, high, medium, and low, right? Of course, if your system is considered medium or low, even if it's down for 24 hours, 48 hours, it does not cause impact to business operations. Of course, then it's acceptable. But if you tell me that this system, right, is critical and essential for employee to use, without this system, employee cannot do their work effectively to deliver value or services back to the business, then of course the classification and also the 16 hour is not considered acceptable. But the thing is that, right, in order for us to know whether 16 hours is good enough or not, it go back to whether this system is critical or not critical, and is there a business impact analysis result attached to this system, right? If BIA results say that this system is critical, and inside the BIA, yeah, business impact analysis documentation say that this system must have RTO of 4 hours, of course, then you fail your RTO. Why? Because the previous downtime 16 hours and your RTO for this system is 4 hours, which means that basically you are not meeting the RTO. Yeah. Next question. Yeah. Can you share example of organizations that have successfully aligned their disaster recovery strategy with ISO 27001? What lesson learned, yeah, can be learned from their experience? Yeah. Of course, as you know, when we actually share best practices experience in talk, we cannot disclose that or talk about organizations. Yeah. But typically, if based on my experience, if we talk about industry to be specific, oil and gas usually have the best in terms of IT service planning, yeah, which include BCP, DR planning, ISO compliance. They even actually can meet some of these like SOC type 2, yeah, attestations report also. So all I can say is that oil and gas industry followed by financial service industry are some of the common industry that are able, yeah, to align DR strategy with their ISO 27001, or even with a more stringent attestation report like SOC 2, or even some of the regulators guidelines or law itself. Yeah, I hope I answered the question. Yeah. Next, basically, any other questions? Looks like we don't have. Yeah. Okay. Right. So perhaps basically, yeah, do actually support, yeah, our PECB event. Yeah, and feel free to actually connect to me via my LinkedIn, as well as also look into our TrainerCat Malaysia PECB training. Yeah. So we often organize ISO 27001 course, risk management course 27005, ISO 27002 control technique. Yeah, so these are actually some of the courses that we actually offer in partnership with PECB. Yeah, I know this session is a bit short, yeah, but let's connect again in LinkedIn. Yeah, if you have particular questions or topic, yeah, if you wish to actually discuss further, yeah, off the line. Yeah, so again, In case that if you need to connect to me, yeah, my social media account, you can search for Alan Yao. That's my email, yeah, Yao, full name at hotmail.com or company email trinacate.com, and that's also my phone numbers. And you can look into our website, yeah, for those courses, yeah, if you're interested, yeah, especially in terms of PECB cost, okay. We will actually roll out more PECB costs in the near future, especially related to NIST, cybersecurity, governance, and so on. Right? Okay. Right. Hope to see you again in near future via this PECB event. And good night, good morning, yeah, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Okay. See you next time.